This is almost definitely a terrible idea. This is the first in a series of video diaries for a client project. I'll post them at regular intervals and you'll have the chance to engage as we go along. Or heckle. Up to you. The idea is you get to see behind the scenes of a live paid project and see it develop in real time, rather than me just presenting the end result. I ran this idea past the client and they agreed. Not only that, it's my first job for them. Oh, and potentially the biggest job that I've done.
No, you fucking idiot.
As it stands now, I've sent some initial animation tests to which we'll look at later. I'm bleeping their name, at least for now, for obvious reasons. This is an ongoing project. But I will show you the work, which means showing you the company. Just promise not to, almost definitely a terrible idea. Oh, and another thing I should probably do is, if you're thinking about sending any creative ideas to either myself or the client, please don't. The aim for these diaries is to give you an insight into my creative process, and by doing so, hopefully help you with similar projects. I welcome questions and comments, but I'm afraid I can't consider any creative ideas. Now that down is out of the way, let's look at the job. It's a motion branding project with multiple deliverables. The client sent me 2 PDFs to kick things off. I've seen a lot of similar documents like these over the years, and usually open them like... I know they're necessary, but do they have to be so long and self-important? They're brand guidelines, not will and testaments. But I was so relieved when I opened these. For a start, they read like they were written by an actual human being. Not only that, someone knowledgeable and with an obvious passion for branding. Love this typeface. And hey, now I know what these are called. I mean, I'll pretend that I knew anyway, if anyone asks. They don't like corny. Well, now I know that they haven't watched this channel. So I ordered brand guidelines from the client and they asked if I wanted the premium version. Just really useful and clear direction. Let's see how badly I messed this up. The first deliverable is animating this device. That's what I've done so far, and we'll look at the animation shortly. And there's a few other related deliverables. The client asked me to provide a couple of quotes, high and low. I hate quoting. I know it's a necessity of freelancing, but I struggle with it. Between you and me, I'd rather the client approaches me with a set budget.
What kind of business you in, Bob?
Leisure activities.
But yeah, you'll struggle to avoid quoting if you freelance. So I handcuffed myself to my chair until I come up with something. Then I emailed them over to the client with a load of lame excuses.
Is this some joke?
On the off chance that you're looking to get any kind of professional guidance from this video,
No.
I should say now, probably don't do what I've done here. I'd already had a video call with the client and guessed that they might be forgiving for me being this sketchy. But there are online tools to help with quoting. You can ask in the comments if you want to know more. I wanted Scope to bring in a sound designer friend of mine, as well as potentially some 3D assistants. The client countered with an approach which split the project up into 3 phases, with a cost range for each. At the moment, the budget is capped at $5,000 for the current phase of work, and I'll update as things progress. I mean, hopefully progress. Again, God bless who I'm convinced was generated on a computer by dozens of motion designers. It's just very clear in terms of what they want, and also, look, the number of amends. Clients generally don't provide this sort of thing, but for those of you who don't have much experience quoting, like me, this is a good idea. Outline things such as expectations and the number of amends, so there's a clear scope of work. This is the first work in progress that I sent. The way I'm approaching this is to eventually give the client complete agency over all aspects of the motion design. They'll have a comprehensive set of deliverables, which can be easily applied and adjusted as required. If I'm successful, I'll do myself out of a job and they won't even need me. Except maybe for more advanced videos which require bespoke animation. There'll be aspects of this to figure out and many deliverables, which hopefully I'll show you in upcoming videos. I sent this collection of animations over and then we jumped on Zoom. I made it clear that most of these are experiments, essentially me playing around and getting a feel for this firework device. The firework as a device can be interpreted in so many different ways, which makes this kind of a dream project for a mostly 2D motion designer like me. I mean, it's better than 99% of the work that I normally do. It could really only be improved if you threw films into the mix, somehow. My approach is basically what I outlined in this video. Mind mapping, sketching, jumping into After Effects to see what works and what doesn't. Here's one which didn't work, and here's an interpretation of the scanning behaviour. I'm trying to get these animated as quickly as possible. I want to get first thoughts ideas out of the way so we can move on to hopefully more creative stuff. I spent a bit of time rigging things in After Effects so I can iterate quickly. For example, this comp has every square as a pre-comp, and the timing is expression controlled by this Luma layer. I explore this technique in more detail here if you're interested.
My God, how boring.
I've also layered the squares in Z-Space and expression controlled them so I can easily change the colours and variables. And I was playing around with the hex tile effect, which isn't exactly the most commonly used effect in After Effects. And I quickly got something sort of interesting. These are meant as early explorations, not final complete concepts. Hence this pretty shoddy 3D look. After Effects can do 3D, and I've discussed that before on this channel, but it definitely has limitations. I'll almost certainly be using other software for this project beyond these. With early experiments like these, I just work faster in software that I use every day, but I'm not ruling out using other software as the project progresses, especially if it allows for animation behaviours which are trickier to pull off in After Effects. The client followed up our Zoom with this document. Honestly, even if this project goes tits and I don't get paid a penny, it'll be worth it for them showing our industry how to be an absolute legend of a client. These will inform the next set of animations that I work on, although I have sketches for ideas I want to explore as well. And they've made it clear that they're open to ideas beyond what's been specified.
Your ideas are so exciting!
Which leads me neatly on to... I talked about client red flags in my last video, but without wanting to totally embarrass people, let's look at these green flags. One person, not a committee. Clear instruction.
The blessing.
Scope of work. Not stressed. Fellow film nerd? Okay, maybe not that last one. The client also mentioned they're not in a hurry for this. This in particular is great, because I think the longer you can let a project seep in, the better, and it allows for play and experimentation. It's not a luxury you're afforded with most projects, and if I had to grasp for a desperate analogy, I'd say it's like the rehearsal period for actors. You get to explore and try things out without judgment. Essentially, you're in a safe space. I mean, you can judge for yourselves whether or not it makes for a better creative solution. Speaking of which, let's recap where things are right now. My mood is really good, for all the reasons I've already mentioned. Projects like this don't come along very often, for me. Client mood is, I think, good. I should probably stop talking to you lot and actually do some more work on it. So let's see. Production time, I'm going to say 3 days. This is very broad. I might get into this more in the next video, how you'd calculate it. But yeah, 3 days. Amount billed, minus $50. So I haven't invoiced yet, and the client mentioned this book. And since I pretty much only own books on films, I picked up a copy. So yeah, as it stands, minus $50. Watch this space. That's it for this diary. If you have any questions or comments, please pop them below, and I'll either reply directly or even address them in the next video. If you want to know more about any of the processes and techniques that I've used in the animations, you can find the full workflow here at my sister channel, The Video Shop Long Play. Huge thanks to for the work and letting me discuss it here with you. So now I need to go away and do some more work on this project. So, thanks for watching, see you again soon.